I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to create a project brief doc in Coda. The project brief template is one of the most popular templates in the Coda template gallery, and you can check it out here if you'd like. I'll also link to this in the video notes as well. So how do we create a project brief template in Coda? Well, before I get into creating the actual template, I'm going to walk you through how I started thinking about designing this project brief. So I created this quick drawing, how to create a project brief, and I listed a few requirements for my project brief template. I want to have an overview of the project. I want to have a task list, views of my tasks for different teams in my company. Maybe have like a little sales and marketing section as well, and then also a retrospective to kind of get any feedback about how we launch this project into the wild. So first off, in our project brief is having this overview, which is number one. I kind of organized this into pages. So the first page or section is going to be an overview of the project with things like idea, problem, measurement, time, budget, all the typical things that you might find in a project. And this is just a bunch of free form writing and text and maybe images to talk about the project in detail. So this is page one. The next requirement is task list. This is a really rough drawing of what my task list will look like. So I have a structured table with columns and rows that would have task as one column, status, the team responsible for that task, start, end, and the person who owns that task. A pretty standard list you could find maybe in Google Sheets or Excel, but we're going to build this in Coda. And the key thing here is that I want to be able to view my task list by this column, which is team. I don't want to see a huge list of tasks across all teams. I want to be able to filter to a specific team for my task list. This is what a task list could look like for a specific team. So once I have this giant task list, I want to have a page here in step 3 that has maybe just the tasks for the design team. And I want the design team to be able to customize how their task list looks. So in this case, this is kind of the Trello kanban view where you have different cards. You can move them from not started to in progress to done list, just like you would in Trello. And so I want to give my teams the flexibility to create these views based on their part of the task list. Step 4 is I want to be able to see just my tasks. Whenever I log into our project brief, I want to be able to see just my tasks with maybe 2 columns, the task and the status. And the important thing is it filters to only my tasks from this big master table of tasks in step 2. So I think steps 2 through 4 are pretty much the main requirements I have for my task list in terms of seeing a structured table of all my tasks. So let's go on to other parts of this project brief. Step 5, I want to have a page that is just about how we're going to do sales and marketing for this project, assuming that we're going to launch this to customers. So in this case, I might have things written out for the pitch and positioning, release notes of maybe it's a digital product. I want to be able to have these notes in my page so that I can quickly reference this for the sales team. This would also just be free-form note-taking and notes. Step 6 is a retrospective. This is a really common practice that I do a lot, which is working with my team to figure out any kind of learnings we had from running this project, any things that we should start, stop, and continue, and anything we should think about for the future. And this would also be some free-form text as well. So this is the structure of my project brief. Now let's go ahead and build this in Coda. So I'm going to go back here, how to create a project brief. Let's just give this a section name. Let's call this brief overview. And let's give this a nice little icon. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can see more data. And this is where I'm going to add things like, let's see here. I want to add idea, problem, maybe user-based job or tasks. And I'm actually going to copy and paste some things from another template, from the template itself, so we can quickly have all the headers that we would need for this overview. I'm just going to show this really quick here. And there we go. These are things that you would fill out as the project manager for your team. So you have idea, alignment, problem, user-based job or tasks. This is a little more specific to when you're working with customers. What type of actions do you want that customer to take? Measurement, non-goals. These are things that are outside the scope of the project. Time and budget, very important, obviously. How much is this project going to cost? How long will it take? And then also brain trust. This is for other stakeholders that may be involved in the project itself. So this would be a pretty good thing that you would want to fill out at the very, very beginning of a project. And after this is filled out and people have aligned on the project brief, then you can go on to creating tasks for the entire team that's involved with the project. So I'm going to start by creating a new section called All Tasks. And let's give this section name as well at the very top, All Tasks. And let's create a table. Let's call this Tasks. Pretty simple. And so what are some of the columns that we want to have in our tasks table? So task, status, team, start, and in person. I'm just going to start writing these in really quickly. Task. What was it again? Status, team. I think it was start and person. And that's it. These are all the columns I would need for my project brief. Let's actually just minimize these columns a little bit. And let's try to, I like to fix the format of the columns first, so I know that the task column will be a text column, so I'm going to leave that as text. A status, I'm going to leave this actually as a select list. So this will be, the things I want to be able to select here are not started, in progress, and done. The team, let's just say for sake of argument, I have 3 teams: design, engineering, and product management. I'm also going to make this a select list so that people can select these options: design, engineering, product management. The start date, that's going to be a date column format. So I'm going to click on date there. This will also be a date. And then finally the person, this is going to be the person that owns the task. I'm going to make this a people column. And once I have this, I've shared this doc already with a few team members, so they become selectable in these options. One thing I like to do is I like to turn off this notify when added option so that they aren't notified when I'm adding them to a task, because right now I'm still kind of like in that project brief building mode, so I don't want to add them. If I click on this right now, I don't want Buck to get a notification right away that he's been added to this task list, even though there's nothing here. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste a bunch of tasks from the template so that we just have some data to work with. So let's copy this over here. All right, and I'm just going to assign some new people because this took some names from the template that aren't in my list, obviously. So let's rename some more people here. Okay, I think that's everyone. I think I hit everyone. All right. Okay, cool. So as you can see, if I want to add a new task, I can say this is a new task. And I'm just going to make this a little further up so you can see everything. So I can say this is new task. I can say this is a not started task. Maybe this is for product management. I can click on the date this task will start. Let's say September 30th. It's going to end October 10th. And also give this a owner. Say Felix. So this is a task list. And What you could do here is I could also do some conditional formatting so that I can make this task list look a little more, just a little nicer, so I can kind of see like what things are being done. So let's say I want to highlight the in progress columns. In progress tasks, I can click on this conditional formatting, add a rule where if the status is in progress, then I want to maybe apply a bold to it, and maybe also give it a nice kind of like orange background color. And I want to apply it to all the columns. And now all my in progress tasks have this nice little orange formatting. And maybe I also want to cross off all the complete tasks, so I might also want to add some conditional formatting there. So let's say status is complete. I'm just going to make the font color a little lighter gray, and then also italicize and also put a strike through. So I think that should be it. And you notice how I want to apply this for all columns actually. So let's change this to all columns. And now all my completed tasks are kind of grayed out, so I know like I don't have to worry about those tasks anymore. So let's also give this a nice little section icon. Let's make this little checkbox. So this will be a decent task list. And again, you can add tasks to this as you're going through your project. But as you can see, this task list will get pretty long, and it's going to be hard for the engineering team to look at just their tasks because they have to sort through this whole list and find their tasks. Same thing for product management. What if you as a project manager want to see all the not started tasks? You would have to maybe apply some conditional formatting, but overall we want to create some views of this table. And last thing I want to do here is maybe just have a button that allows me to add a task really easily. So this would just be I can add a row when I click on this button to the tasks table. And by default, I want to have the status set to not started, so that the minute I add a new task to this table, it will have a status of not started because it's a brand new task. And I'm going to click on this option so that it opens up a kind of pop-up so that I can quickly enter the task. So this is what it looks like. If I hit on add task, notice how it automatically says not started. I can say write project spec. The team is going to be product management. Let's say the start date is whenever, end date is whenever, and the person owner is Buck. And when I click out of this, then you're going to see this task show up at the very bottom here as a not started task. So let's move on to the next step. We have our master task list. Step 3 and 4 is creating these specific views of the tasks for my project. Because as we are doing the work and going through the sprint of working on the project, my teams are going off onto their own, and they're working on these tasks not by themselves, but they want to focus on the work that matters for them. So let's create a new section just for the design team. And let's give this a nice little icon. And I'm actually going to create a folder to put all the task-related sections into that folder so it's not confused with the project brief, which we created right here. So I create this folder. I'm going to drag and drop all tasks in here and design as well. And maybe let's just create a section for engineering. I'm going to drag this over here. And let's give this little gear icon. And we have these two sections, design and engineering. And I want to filter that table of master tasks just to the design and engineering teams. So in design, I'm going to give this a title of design team tasks. And I'm going to click on the plus sign here and go to table and insert a table view of tasks. So by default, you're going to get the entire task list, which is not what I want because I want just design tasks as I went right here for this view. And if I click on this icon, you're going to notice that this design tasks is now like kind of a child, but rather it's the more precise term is a view of the tasks table. And the cool thing here is I can now click on this filter icon, click on add filter where the team is design. And now this filters to just the 4 tasks that are associated with the design team. And now I don't have to worry about, if I'm the design team, I don't have to worry about going to the all tasks table to work on my tasks. I can just go here to see all the tasks associated for my team, which is design. And instead of showing all these columns, I might want to hide the team, because I already know this is for design. And instead of looking at this as a table, maybe I want to look at this as a Trello board, which is what I had in my sketch right here for not started, in progress, done. So I'm going to convert this view that looks like a table and convert it into a card view. So the way I can do that is I can click on status and group this along the top. And I have complete, in progress, not started. Great. And I'm going to click on this icon here. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to make sure that the settings here are right. So sometimes if you don't, just one setting to be aware of, if you want to have all these statuses show up in your Trello board, I just click on these little pin icons just to make sure they always show up in my view. And now if I click on this table, this little icon here, and click on cards, now I'm going to drag this over here and move this over here. And now I kind of have that Trello Kanban board view of my tasks. And if I happen to move move draft mockups from not started to in progress, it moves it over here, obviously, but it also changes the conditional formatting. Because remember, we had that conditional formatting of status of in progress as that orange background. And if I go back to my all tasks table, let's look for that draft mockups. Notice how here in design, for this row, it also changed it to in progress. If I change this back to not started, it's also going to move that draft mockups task to my not started view, or not started list. Let's do the same thing for the engineering team. And let's say for the engineering team, we want to look at it maybe from a different view. So let's go here, table, insert tasks, and this is going to be engineering tasks. First step is I want to filter this view just to the team that is engineering right here. Awesome. Now I have only my engineering tasks. And instead of looking at it as a Trello board, maybe my engineering team only want to see their tasks kind of like a pivot table format, which is very similar to what we did with the design team. But instead, I'm just going to click on status, group along left. And now I can see my tasks grouped by these high-level statuses. And I'm actually going to drag and drop this up to up here, and then in progress is here. And zoom out a little bit. And if I want to, if Mary Jones is working on comments in Cell, she can just drag and drop this down to in progress. Oops, let's see here, down to in progress. And now she can see that, now everyone on my on the engineering team can see that this task is in progress. And maybe my engineering team also wants to see this task list as a Gantt chart, which is a really common way to look at project tasks on a timeline. So I'm going to go down here and just create some more space. Same thing, I'm going to create a view from my tasks and filter this again to team is engineering. All right. And this is going to be called engineering tasks timeline view. I'm going to click on this icon and convert this to a chart, not a bar chart. I want to look at it as a Gantt chart. And this is the same exact data, but now it's viewed, all my tasks are viewed as a Gantt chart, because remember, all my tasks have start and end dates, and those start and end dates get plotted out into this Gantt chart so I can kind of see how things are stacked. And whenever I hover over each bar, I can see all the data associated with that task from the underlying table. And the conditional formatting also applies, because I know that these two tasks are in progress and these blue ones are basically not started. And so it might make sense to kind of start these ones because, or actually I want to start, yeah, these ones are not started yet, but these ones have completed because they have that kind of crossed out look and the gray outline. And I can move these around, I can shift these, and this would also shift the start and end dates in my actual table. And finally, I want to have a view of my tasks. This is just the things that I own. And I just realized I didn't actually assign myself any tasks. So let's go ahead and assign this task to Al Chen, this task to Al Chen, and then this one to Al Chen as well. Sorry, Mary, you're going to have less work to do. And let's create a new section, and let's just call this My Tasks. And this is a way for any individual team member to go into this doc, this project brief doc, and look at the tasks that only matter to them. And I typically will make this a very, very small view where, again, I just created a view of all the task table. I can see some of the tasks where I'm the owner. And I'm going to say my tasks only. And I can filter this to the person this time that is just the current user. I'm not going to click on Al Chen because if I do that, I can obviously see the 3 tasks that I have. But if my colleague Buck or Mary go in here, they're also only going to see the tasks associated to Al Chen. Instead, I'm going to click on current user. And what that does is this filters this view of tasks down to the person who's logged in to the project brief doc. So when I log in, I obviously see that these are the 3 tasks associated for me. I can also hide some of these columns if I don't like to see them. But the next time someone else logs into the doc, if it's Mary or Buck, they will only see the tasks associated with them. And if I happen to reassign one of these tasks to, let's say, Buck, this gets filtered out of my view because this view is only filtered down to whoever's logged in, which in this case is me, Al Chen. So I think that kind of completes all the tasks related pages I like to have in my project brief. I have a giant task list, and I've created these individual views of the tasks for my team and just for myself. And let's make this more accurate. I only want to have task and status. And this might be a really simple way for me as an individual contributor on this project to be able to manage my tasks only. So let's move on to the last few sections that you might want to have in a project brief: a sales and marketing page and a retrospective page, steps 5 and 6. So let's create a new section called sales and marketing. Sales and marketing. And I'm just going to drag this outside of my tasks folder because I don't want this to be associated with my task, and I can collapse this tasks folder. And I'm going to move this down here because generally I think you want to have the sales and marketing section a little further down after the tasks. Let's just skip it like that. So let's call this a sales and marketing plan. So what kind of things might go in a sales and marketing plan? So we have things like pitch, like how are we actually going to pitch this product? Maybe you want to have some help center articles. And I'm going to just copy over the text from the actual template itself so we can have all that data in this tutorial. So we have the pitch, the help center, any release notes if you're launching this project to customers, and also other launches that are relevant for this project. So as I listed in my sketch, this is just free-form text, free-form notes that you can write into the project brief. So this is awesome. This is great for our sales and marketing team to go here and have a reference for their plan. And then finally, the last section is going to be the retrospective. And let's give it a nice little hand wave. Retrospective. And these are going to be things that we want to discuss as a team once the project is over to figure out what went well, what didn't work well, and what things to continue for the future. And I'm going to, again, just going to copy this from the template. So we have the data right here. So we have things like learnings. Did we set the right goal and stick to it? These are all questions that you can answer as a team, and you can do it all in this doc together because this is a real-time collaborative doc. So learnings and also future work. What other things would you like to work on that came out of this project for future releases and launches? So that is the how to create a project brief in Coda. We walk through just writing the basics of the project brief, which is all this template right here. And we created all these individual views of a master task list that you can filter down to just the team and person that you want. And then finally, a sales and marketing and retrospective sections to have some more free-form thinking and brainstorming about those sections.